This is great. I have a very simple question. I would like some clarity on being an uplifter. The only uplifters I know are small children. And as I'm going through my experiences, I find myself wanting to be more like a young boy again. So could you help clarify being an uplifter for me?
Well, when you think about uplifting in a literal sense, it is raising vibration, which is the same thing as releasing resistance. So it makes sense that those new ones in who have had less opportunity to get hung up in the step one resistant part of life would naturally still have higher vibrations. Animals are that way too.
Yes.
And so let's talk about the components that are present in these non-resistant beings. They don't hold grudges. They don't tend to think about things so much. They don't work things over and over. They spend less time trying to figure things out. They are more eager to move from thing to thing. They just have less habit of negative thought. That really is all it is. Now, that's not true of all of them.
Yes.
So when you realize that what uplifting is alignment, and what the opposite of it is being out of alignment, and you say, how can I return to that? Jerry has said for years, long before he began cavorting with the likes of us, that he wanted to write a book, Except Ye Be as Little Children, because he finds that the little ones, they're pure of heart. They haven't developed these patterns of thought that hold them apart from who they are. Everyone is that, really. Everyone is that. No matter how old or how disconnected you become, you still are more that non-physical essence than you are resistant. In fact, there's not a stream of resistance. There's not a stream of negativity. There's not a stream of darkness. You don't walk into a room and look for the dark switch, thinking that it will make inky, misty darkness come in and cover up the light. It's just a pinching off or a resisting of the light. And so when you realize that everyone may be a little pinched off, but all that is required is to stop the pinching. In other words, it's a matter of no longer doing that thing you do. You don't have to do something to raise your vibration. You just have to stop doing that thing you do that keeps it from raising. It will raise naturally. It's like a cork that you hold under the water, but when you let go, it will always go back to the surface. The fastest way that we know of helping anyone return to their childlike, non-resistant, uplifting, fresh, tuned in, tapped in, turned on state is to make a decision to let go of your erroneous, bogus, never worked, never will habit of trying to control the circumstances and events. We think it is that one factor that holds more people back from their true uplifting nature. The feeling that I want to feel good, but I can't feel good when I see that, so I have to control that, but I can't control that. I want to feel good, but I can't feel good when I see that, but I can't control that. So little by little, people have given up their connection by trying to seek control that they can't achieve. It isn't until you finally realize that it isn't about controlling circumstances so that you can feel better. It's about thought by thought, gently controlling the direction of your thought, reaching for thoughts that feel a little better and a little better until you just tune yourself back into the frequency of who you really are. Mm-hmm. If children gravitate to you, you're already pretty close there. In other words, that's why they like you. Jerry talks about when Esther walks into a grocery store or to a restaurant, the little ones, and the littler they are, the more he sees it. They just look right at Esther. Esther said, I think it's just my big hair. And Jerry said, I think it's your energy. It's sort of like they have these buttons. I'm one too, I'm one too, I'm one too. And so what does that mean? I'm tuned into who I really am. I'm seeing the world through the eyes of Source. That's what you're seeing when you see a child. They're still looking at the world through the eyes of source. They still believe it's going to be all right. They still have that sense of stability. They still have an eagerness about having come. They still are wanting to dig into whatever variety surrounds them. Do you see how eager they are to explore it and examine it for the content of satisfaction that it will provide for them? Yes. So, these are the things we would do if we were standing in your physical shoes and we wanted to become more aligned as children are. We would look for things to appreciate. And when we find something that is easy to appreciate, we would milk it. We would appreciate it and appreciate it. We would talk about it. We would even write it down. We would make a decision to look for positive aspects everywhere we are, no matter where we are, standing in line, even driving, coming into a beautiful room like this with beautiful chandeliers. We would look for things to appreciate, and we would make lists of the positive aspects everywhere we are. We would recognize that the way we feel is our indication of our alignment or not with that, and we would say on a frequent basis, I'm going to try to do my best to find the best feeling thought that I can find from where I am. And we would not be hard on ourselves. We would be sort of self-determined, like children are, sort of stubbornly sure, at least in the beginning, that they are right. They give up their freedom reluctantly. And if we were standing in your physical shoes, we would take it back deliberately and we would give it up never again. Great fun.
Thank you very much.
Got to tell a story. Esther and I were in San Diego a few years ago, and there was a fellow I'd known for quite a while. He was a professor at a university there, and we were all around just kind of visiting around and talking, and it was Christmas, and he pulled out a little harmonica, and he was playing such beautiful music on this harmonica, and he wasn't anyone you would ever think of as be playing a harmonica like that. And I said, how'd you learn how to play harmonica like that? He said, well, this is kind of a long story. I said, I'd like to hear it. He said, I was an orphan in Mexico, and somehow I worked my way up to Tijuana. I was about 9 years old. He said I lived in the cardboard boxes and at night, and he says, and then I shined shoes and I polished cars and anything I could to get some money and begged for food. And he said I stayed alive that way. And he said, I had this dream. He said, I don't even know where I got it. He said, somebody told me about Don Quixote and the windmills in Spain. I don't know why. I had a desire. I wanted to see those windmills in Spain. That was just a desire. And he said, I kept trying to get people to smuggle me over to the United States. And of course, nobody would take me. One day, he said, there was a couple in a bar and they were pretty high. And he said, I just kept on until he got really, really drunk. And then I asked his wife, because he was pretty well passed out, would you take me back? So she put me in the trunk of their car and put him in the back seat and drove us back across the border to Santa Barbara, California. Turns out they were professors at a university up there. And they took me in and they clothed me and they almost like adopted me. And they got me through school. And then that dream never ended. There was a contest in the class. I think it was high school class. There was a contest that whoever won the contest would get a trip to Spain. And he says, I won the contest and I got to see the windmills in Spain. Anyway, I just thought that was a wonderful story of how a little child's creation, his dream, and when he spoke of Don Quixote and the windmills, it just all kind of fit in. How just his imagination, how it all worked out, that somebody finally, everything came together to make it happen. Anyhow, I thought you might enjoy that.
We love the loveliness of the story, and we are amused at the extreme of the story that it feels to all of you, because every one of you are having those things all day, every day that are going into your vibrational escrow. And it is rather remarkable that you see that as an unusual unfolding. It is unusual in the sense that his dream stayed alive enough within him that when it came to pass, he recognized it.
Good.
And that's really the point that we want you to help us make with all of this. Many times through the living of life, you've put things into your vibrational escrow that you don't even remember that you've put them there, and yet they have amassed. And so as you then become a vibrational match to it and you allow them to unfold, you have this distant, faint recognition that it was something that you once wanted. But the more deliberate you are, in other words, imagine the difference between what you all know now, what you know now, and what you are deliberately throwing into your vibrational escrow. Imagine the difference in knowing that it's over there and working every day to talk about it. Imagine the conscious realization that you put it there through contrast, and that you nursed it, and that you kept it alive as you brought yourself into vibrational alignment with it. And then when it manifests, imagine the feeling of success you feel as you know unequivocally that you are the creator of your own reality, that life caused you to put it there, and your guidance caused you to line up with it, and now, just like you knew it would, it manifests.
As a matter of fact, I think that's one of the points that I recognize so much after so many years working with you, is that it seems like a lot of folks, I don't think, since they don't keep a diary of every thought they've ever had or every desire they ever had, but my first recognition of really realizing that, I was in San Diego again years and years ago, and I had this bunch of things I kind of wanted, and I found a book by Catherine Ponder called Prosperity something, and it had something about you made this big board and you wrote on it or put up pictures on it of everything you'd ever want. And so I thought, oh, that sounds interesting. So I did, but I wanted such kind of grand things that I thought I'd be embarrassed if anybody knew I wanted those things.
It is weird.
I know, it was weird. So I hid them all in the back of a closet, and I was from, Arkansas and all that. I had a lot of big heavy coats and things that you never ever use in San Diego. So it was hidden in the back of this closet. And so then after, that was 1970, about 5 years later, I was moving to Fresno, California, taking all the clothes out of the closets and everything, and I found this board where I held this stuff on it, and everything, and again, what made me, what you just said, I'd forgotten I even wanted those things, but then I realized they had all come to pass. Everything, and there weren't things I kept thinking, oh, I want this, I want that, I've got to keep thinking about what I wanted. I never thought about them again. Did I run out of time?
You have.
I am talkative, aren't I? Okay.
And so let's talk about what we are uncovering here. So life is causing you to naturally ask. And everything that you ask for is amassing in this vibrational reality. And when you croak, you will be the full recognizer of all of it. Or while you're still in your physical form, as you find a way to be vibrationally in alignment with what you've asked for, then it must reveal itself to you in a manifestational way. Isn't that good to know? You don't have the capacity to desire something without the universe having the capacity to deliver it. But you've got to rendezvous with it where it is. That's the thing. The bridge that we would like to accomplish as a result of our chattering together here today is that we can still feel that many of you still feel that this vibrational reality is something that is not tangible, a vibrational reality. And we want you to begin to feel the vibrational reality as the reality that it really is. If you will leave this gathering knowing that the vibrational reality that exists and wanting with everything that you are to get in there with it as often as you can, which means you've got to feel like what's in there feels, which means you've got to feel like the success that you're seeking. You've got to feel like the joy that you are. You must find the alignment with that. If you will let your dominant intent be to feel as good as you can feel today, no matter where I'm going, no matter what I'm doing, no matter who I'm doing it with, it is my dominant intent to find the best part of everything. As you'll train yourself that way, leaning downstream, reaching for the best feeling thought you can find from where you are, until you train yourself incrementally, little by little, into vibrational alignment with what's there. These manifestations, as they reveal themselves to you, we will call them for what they are. They are indications of my vibration. This magnificent invention will be the indication of my vibration. The fortune that I'm amassing and that I now have access to, that I can move about, the things that I can purchase, my purchasing power, my ability to move things of a physical nature because of the resources that I've amassed, are indications of my vibrational relationship. The way my body feels, the agility of my body, the singing of my heart, the thrill of my skin, the feeling in my mind, the clarity of my being, the people that come around me, all are indicators of the vibrational relationship between who I really am and who I'm letting myself be. Nothing is more important than that I feel good. Nothing. It is my dominant awareness. It is the criteria that I use. Weirdness, I don't care about anymore. Pleasing others, that's not high on my list. trying to change a circumstance in order to keep someone else from having a response that they might not like or I might not like, not even in the ballpark for me. Nothing is more important than my awareness of my relationship, of me and my now vibration, right now where all of my power is, the vibrational offering of me right now by virtue of the thought I'm choosing, by virtue of the story I'm telling and the words I'm saying, me right here, right now, my relationship, my right now vibrational relationship with who I really am. Am I in the ballpark? Am I hopeful? Am I believing? Am I doubting? Am I knowing? Am I fearful? Am I frustrated? Am I hoping? Am I believing? Am I knowing? You get to choose it.